Do your major chords often sound like they're missing something? With a bit of practice and some key insights, you can take your chords from sounding dull to sounding full and rich. Today, I want to dive into a concept that will transform how you play chords across the fretboard. We're going to explore chord inversions and how you can use them to create more interesting and dynamic sounds in your playing. What's the difference between basic chords and inversions? Most guitarists think of a chord as just a basic shape, like the familiar open G chord. But what if I told you that by shifting a few notes, you can create different versions of the same chord? These are called inversions, and they can make your playing sound more professional and polished. Learning the shapes. Instead of memorizing each note in a chord across the entire guitar, we'll focus on a few key shapes. These shapes can be moved around the fretboard, giving you a variety of sounds without overwhelming you with too much theory. Let's start with the G major chord. We'll focus on just the low 3 strings to make it easier. Start with the basic G major chord using only the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings. The G chord has G, B, and D in it, starting on the 3rd fret of the 6th string, and the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and the open 4th string. G, B, D. Now let's move up the neck, keeping the same notes but changing the order. This creates different inversions of the G chord. Now, moving to the first inversion of this triad, I'm going to want to start on the B note of the 6th string, and the D note on the 5th string, and the G note of the 4th string. So that's the 7th fret, 5th fret, and 5th fret. Moving to second inversion, I'm going to want to start on the D note of the 10th fret of the 6th string here, and then the G note on the 10th fret of the A string, and the B note of the 9th fret of the D string. D, G, B. As you continue up the neck, each inversion will give you a new way to play the same chord, adding variety and interest to your playing. Applying the shapes across the fretboard. What's cool about these shapes is that they can be applied to different sets of strings. For example, the shapes you learned on the 6th, 5th, and 4th strings can be used on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings too, with a few adjustments. Start with the G major chord again, but this time on the 5th, 4th, and 3rd strings. Move through the inversions as you did before, listening to how the sound changes but still remains rooted in that G major chord. You should use the same shapes for starters to get a feel for this. If I went back to this original G triad here and pretended this was open strings, it would be this fingering here. So I could then move that up to the 5th string at the 10th fret and apply that same shape right there. That's GBD. Then if I wanted to take the first inversion and do the same thing here, I would just go to the B on the 5th string and apply that shape right there. And then if I wanted to do the second inversion, I'd go to that D note that we had earlier there, and I could use a different fingering in this position here because it's hard to get inside of those small frets. Probably use a ring, pinky, and middle finger instead at this point. But that's the same shape that I used here on the 6th string. But you'd also want to be able to work downward from this point here, the GBD at the 10th fret, going down to the 5th fret here on the D note. That way I could do that triad right there as well, or open strings with that one there. Integrating with the caged system. If you're familiar with the caged system, you'll notice that these inversions fit into shapes you already know. For instance, the first shape we learned is based on the G form, while others align with the C, A, E, and D forms. By combining these inversions with the caged system, you'll gain a deeper understanding of how the fretboard works and be able to navigate it with ease. Visual diagrams. Now I'm going to show you diagrams of all the G major chord inversions across the entire fretboard. These visuals will help you see how each inversion relates to the caged forms, making it easier to memorize and apply them in your playing. Making it musical. These inversions aren't just for theory, they're meant to be used in your playing. Try incorporating them into your chord progressions like G, C, and D to add a melodic touch to your rhythm playing. Let's hear how these inversions can come to life in a real musical context. As you can see, these chord inversions add depth and complexity to your playing, making even simple progressions sound more interesting. Give them a try and soon you'll find yourself using them naturally in your own music. And that's it! You're well on your way to mastering triads. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel and tap that bell so you don't miss anything. And check out one of these videos next.